Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Hyo, and today I'm bringing you guys a little bit more Black Desert Online. Now today is going to be a guide on how to get and farm the best gear in the game. So I'm going to show you guys where to go, how I farm, and about how long or how much you can plan on spending as far as time or silver for each piece of gear. But in North America, you can get the best gear in the game without spending a single piece of silver. You can farm it all yourself. It is obviously going to take longer, but it'll cost you nothing. So I'm gonna show you guys that. Before I do, here's a look at my gear. So 116 AP, 106 DP, and if you have more or less, then you'll probably end up farming faster, respectively, of course. And so I'm gonna show you guys in ascending order from the most or the least rare to the most rare, and usually there's a silver value that'll correlate with that. So the first couple are gonna be pretty inexpensive compared to the last few that I get to, and I'll tell you guys that along the way. So without further ado, let's jump into the first area. Alright guys, here we are at the first farming location, and this is where you're going to want to start. It's all the way in the south. You may have seen me come here in other videos, so if you remember this spot, then make sure to head down here, and hopefully you already have knowledge on the mobs. The earrings here are the witch's earrings, and I'll make sure to flash a picture of each of the pieces that I'm telling you guys about, and I'll also bring up the map just so you can get a general idea of where I am. Try to, if you haven't discovered the area, try to find it based off of other locations on the map, and do your best, I guess. So for the first one, it is the witch's earrings, and it has 5 AP. They sell for about 10 million on the auction house right now, and of course this is per server, and on average they take about 3 to 4 hours to get, or at least as far as I've heard. It took me about 5 hours to get both of mine, but I've had a few friends that have gotten them in as little as 10 or 15 minutes. Of course, that's kind of how it goes with all this gear. I've seen some people get some of the best gear in the game in 10 minutes, and some other people get the same gear in 10 hours. So it's really all RNG based. Just hopefully you get good luck that day. If not, keep farming and you'll get it eventually. It's bound to happen. And so again, this is at Hex Sanctuary, and I show you a little bit about how I like to farm. I like to farm the mobs, the orc skeletons and the lizard skeletons, because there's a lot more of them, and even if there are players here, which there usually are, there's a lot of these mobs, and you can usually find a pretty good amount before someone else comes in and tries to take them. These mobs are really easy. They don't have any range damage except for the ranger skeletons, or the ranger skeletons and the warrior skeletons have shields, so they're kind of annoying, but you can totally avoid them if you want to. And so that's it for this area. Let's go to the next one, which is really similar to the Hex Sanctuary. Alright, so we're at our next area, and it is the abandoned monastery. It doesn't look like there's much here, but you'll see in a second. You jump straight into battle as soon as you find the right place, and it's down the well. This is the most popular entrance, but there is another entrance that I show you a little later on, but it's on the side of a mountain and no one really uses it. So the thing we're farming here is going to be the rings. So this is the best rings in the game, the Mark of Shadows, and they come from the Shadow Knights in the caves here. And so these also give 5 AP. That's why I was saying they're similar, but they're also similar in cost to the witch's earrings. They also cost 10 million silver, and they take on average 3 to 4 hours to farm. So a little bit faster, but also depends on how contested this area. And how contested this area is really changes a lot, because this area, as you can see, I've only been here for a few minutes, and it's midday, and there's already a ton of people here farming the same thing that I am. And that's really what it comes down to, is you should probably farm this area at night. I would recommend. You're kind of wasting your time if you farm during the day, unless you can clear really fast. And if you can, you probably don't need these. And these are really good for the same reason the witch's earrings are good, because you can PRI them, and they get increased by 2 AP instead of 1 AP, so that's why they are the best earrings in the game, and best rings in the game right now. So this area is where you farm the rings. If you happen to find a sturdy enemy, they're pretty easy to kill, and I'd recommend killing them because they have a higher chance of dropping the rings, as well as a really high chance of dropping the badge of Shadow Knights or something like that. So it sells for 20,000 And both of these spots are actually really good for farming armor fragments as well as relic shards. So if you need some of those, it's also a pretty good spot to farm for that. On to the next one, and you'll see quite a big jump in the next area we're going to. Alright, so we're at the next area, and you'll notice we haven't really gone anywhere. It's because we're farming for the Tree Spirit Belt, which is right below us. So below the abandoned monastery, and a little bit north of this town, Trent, you're going to find the Tree Spirit Belt. And as you can see, it gives you 5 AP, I think accuracy and carry weight increase, which is great stats, best belt in the game, but it also goes for 30 million silver on my server right now, which is a boatload. As like I was saying, it's triple the amount of the last two, so it's going to be quite expensive if you really want to buy it, but also it's because it takes a really long time to farm. The other ones were 3 to 4 hours to farm the other two. This one is 8 to 12 hours if you want to farm this. I've done several guild quests where you have to kill over 3,000 enemies in this forest and haven't gotten the belt yet, so it takes a really long time. And honestly, if you want a belt that is on par, you can PRI the belt of Schultz, and when you PRI it gives you the same stats without the accuracy. So that's kind of like the poor man's tree spirit, I like to call it, but that's another option. So this one takes a really long time, but luckily enough the mobs here are not really contested. There's a ton of them and they don't really do any damage. They really don't do anything actually. You can just kill them in like 10 seconds. And if you want to farm it, it's not half bad really. It just takes a long time and maybe you get lucky, you know. So this next area, we are right here in Mancha Forest and we are farming the Ogre Ring. See, the Ogre Ring gives you 10 AP and it is by far and away the best necklace in the game. Because ogres are so big, their rings are actually necklaces for us human beings. And so this one gives you 10 AP like I said, and most other necklaces give you only 5, so it is a lot better. But on average it takes 2 to 3 minutes to kill an ogre if you have pretty decent gear, maybe up to 5 minutes depending on what class you're playing. But it also takes 400 plus ogre kills. There's only 4 to 6 spawns, I think there's maybe 6 spawns for the ogres, and they're farmed very often by other players. And it takes about 400 like I said, which a lot of people are saying around 40 to 50 hours of farming in order to get one ogre ring. Like I said, maybe RNG's on your side, but even if it is, it's still going to take you quite a while to farm these. Just statistic based, it's going to take you a really long time. And these sell for 90 million silver on the auction house. I've only ever seen one get posted on the auction house, so the chances of you buying it, even if you happen to have 100 million silver, is low if not zero. So these you can find in the Mancha Forest, which is cool because the Manchas also drop some pretty good gear as well as goblin scrolls, so you can farm this while you're farming ogres. Again, this is similar to the Mark of Shadows in that it's very contested, so I'd recommend farming at night. But unlike the Mark of Shadows, people here will kill you, and they'll, like almost 9 out of 10 times they will try and kill you because it does take more gear to farm the ogres. So chances are they have better gear than you. And as you can see, when I'm trying to farm this guy, just straight up has better gear than me. So no matter, even if I find the ogre first, he kills it and he gets the gear. So that's just something you're gonna have to deal with if you want to farm this ogre ring. And best of luck if you take on this challenge. Really, it's quite a tall task. But let's go on to the next one. So the next one, I kind of bundled the last two together just because you get them in a similar fashion, and that is going to be armor and weapons. So the best armor in the game, and I'll put all 4 pieces on here, is boss armor. So boss armor, as you can probably tell by the name, is dropped by bosses in the game, and you get them from the daily boss scrolls. You get them from the caches that you get from the daily boss scroll quest, and there's a small chance that they're in there. And even if they are in there, it could be one of the other ones and you kind of get trolled. Also, one of them is from a level 2 boss, I think it's the boots, which gives you evasion, so that one's incredibly hard to get. All of these will take you several weeks to get, if I had to guess, unless you're incredibly lucky, and they all go for over 90 million silver on the auction house. But again, I think I've only ever seen one of these, go on auction house. And really, if I was being honest with you, I would not recommend farming for these unless you had everything else, you know, fully set up, because it's going to take you forever. And I would recommend just getting plus 15 Gruntle gear, and then maybe farming for one piece. So for me, I'd farm the gloves because they give you increased accuracy and they're really good for rangers. So I mean, your chances of getting one piece are a lot better than your chances of getting all 4 pieces in a convenient timing. So yeah, that's just my recommendation, but heck, if you have a lot of time, go ahead and try and farm these. Also, the better way to get them is through the world bosses. So Beg and them all spawn as a world boss, and they take about 10 to 15 minutes to kill with about 100 players. And hopefully you're doing enough damage. If you are, then you have a chance of getting the armor, as well as Liberto weapons, which are the second best weapons in the game, but I'll get onto that in a minute. But it's kind of rough for warriors and melee because they die so often and don't do as much damage as sorcerers and rangers, because boss drops are based on damage dealt. So unfortunately, if you are melee, it's going to be rough, especially for you. So maybe just stick to getting Gruntle or another set that's not boss armor. And so this leads to my last thing that I was just talking about, is weapons. And the best weapon in the game for almost every class is the Zarka weapons. And so I'm showing you guys where Zarka spawns. I didn't really show any boss locations because most people have already done bosses and know where to get them. If not, you know, the scroll will tell you, so no big deal. But I'm showing you guys Serendia Shrine, and this is where Zarka spawns. Zarka is the hardest world boss and takes like 15-20 minutes to kill, with 200 to 300 players killing him at the same time. So he takes a long time. But on top of that, he takes 20 to 48 hours to spawn, which is a huge amount of time. It's massive, and that is why I added this as the rarest item, just because of the amount of time it's going to take you to farm it, or luck, really. And again, it is based on damage, so if you are a melee, you have a better chance against this boss than other ones, just because this boss is more melee friendly than the other world bosses. But again, you just simply don't do as much damage as sorcerers, so your chances of getting it is very, very low. So I'd recommend getting a Liberto weapon if you cannot farm the Zarka weapon, because these go for 120 million, and these actually I've seen I think 2 go on auction house, but again, I wouldn't rely on that just because it is so expensive and so rare. So the Liberto weapon, again, is the second best option, except for warriors. Warriors, your only real upgrade is going to be the Zarka weapon. Sorry, but yeah, that's all it is for you. And yeah, it's just, there's really nothing you can do about it, except, you know, maybe just stick with the Yura until you get really lucky, or maybe Valencia will bring something that has better stats than the Zarka for warriors, just because warriors don't really use crit. That's the only reason Liberto's not good for warriors, but for every other class it's pretty good. Alright guys, so that's all the best gear in Black Desert Online right now in the North America version. Let me remind you guys, in the Korean version there's more gear, and hopefully in Valencia there will be additional gear added so that we can you know, have more options. And I'll probably make another video running through that. I made this video because I was getting a lot of questions on what's the best rings and stuff in the game by my guildies and friends. So I just made this to hopefully help you guys out and them at the same time. If you guys did like this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment. Lets me know that you enjoyed it, and to make more videos similar to this. Make sure you guys subscribe so that when I do put out more content like this, you get to see it as soon as it comes out. So thank you guys. If you were watching this whole time, thank you a lot. You're a real MVP. And good luck farming, guys. I'll see you out there.